All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to be looking at these amazing models of the 2A Grim Reapers. I mean, oh my gosh, look at that scythe. And we're going to be looking at them with an eye towards RTA viability. Before we start, let me just say, these base speeds are terrible. Terrible, terrible. Borderline unusable. So they better bring a lot to the table or be part of some turn 2 snail cleave because they're terrible. They're really, really, really bad. They're missing an entire Swift set compared to Ganny. They're hurting right off the bat. They're hurting big. So just based on those base speeds, I mean, I feel like if I have a base speed 99, I'm like, ooh, this thing's slow. 91 is almost incomprehensibly slow. 10% slower than Bastet. So the odds of these being usable right off the bat are not great. And the odds of any one of these taking the role of anything with a base speed of 100 is basically zero. Like anything with a base speed of 100 has got a leg up on these big time, okay? So all that being said, let's look at them and see what we think. So Saf, normal attack, acquires an extra turn if the enemy dies. Great, but how often is that gonna happen? I don't know. Happens with Rauk, and that's not bad. So interesting. Be interesting seeing Rauk team up with one of these guys and just everybody gets extra turns. That'd be kind of fun. All right, this is the one that's kind of cool. The continuous damage always lands as a crit if the enemy's less than 30, so it's got a bit of an execute function. But then the Living Hell is what makes it amazing. It disturbs the HP recovery for 2 turns with 15% chance and inflicts continuous damage if you attack an enemy on your turn. Plus, continuous damage is doubled, right? Instead of a 5% tick, it's a 10% tick. So you do this, they get continuous damage for 2 turns. And then, just because you attacked, they also get continuous damage and HP disturb. So if they don't have a cleanse, they're in rough shape because it's hitting harder than Rika. It's got, what? I'm assuming what it means is the target would get an additional continuous damage. And this is an AoE. So that's how I'm guessing this. So if you hit the target, it gets 2. And it gets HP recovery block, right? So, but those 2 are really 4. It's 20% per turn. So it's 40% over 2 turns, which is quite a bit. So better have a cleanse if you're going to deal with this guy. Fire attack power. That's not bad. That's not too bad. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's not too bad. Looks like we've got the same thing in all of them. Yep. So this one's different. Grim Scythe. This one is... No, this is also Grim Scythe. Additional turn when the enemy dies. This one is continuous damage. Interesting. Oh, but it also has additional turn, so it's both. All right, here's the 2 continuous damage for 2 turns. Reusable in 3 turns. That's pretty solid. I mean, that's almost 100% uptime. All right, so here is the AoE strip with speed down and a freeze. That's pretty good. I'm sorry, AoE strip is wrong. Single target strip. Yes, single target strip, single target speed down, single target freeze. The fact that it's a speed break for 3 turns is pretty good. Anything 3 turns is not bad. It takes them out of the commission for 1, it slows them down twice, and it takes all their goodies. That's not bad. Not bad. But again, PvP viability, I don't think so. There's better AoE daughters with actual base speeds that do more. Rika's better, Belinus is better. Does it matter if this guy's water? I don't think so. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone will prove me wrong. All right, Hiva. Additional addition turn and resets the cooldown of death penalty, which is up here. Attacks the enemy 3 times with the Wind of Heavens. Grim Reaper, Wind of Heavens? I don't know about that. What's the lore connection here? And absorbs the attack bar by 30% each. So it's a 90% attack bar absorb. In theory, you get a turn right after this if you don't miss any resists, right? The less HP the target enemy has, the larger the damage becomes, and the cooldown time is removed if the enemy dies. Pretty cool. And this one is also, the cooldown is removed if the enemy dies. So they really want you to death penalty. This one here, inflicts damage to all enemies, always lands as a crit, so it's just the execute. I don't see this having any viability. Yeah, I don't see it. Maybe in Giants? I don't think so. Nah, I don't see it. All right. Prom, looking sharp in white. Yep, all right. Ignores all effects that resist death. So that's good. There's a couple of units that do similar things, but it's nice to have it on light, I think, because it's element neutral. Base stats, attack's pretty good, I think. 955 is pretty good. That feels really quite good. So that's nice. HP's bad, defense is bad, but it's an attack monster. All right, AoE attack, AoE bar decrease with a stun if it's low, so eh. And then up here we've got an inevitable judgment. An inevitable judgment, stunning them and decreasing their defense for 1 turn. So an AoE defense break stun, and it's proportional max HP. Wow, that's something. So it's stun defense break. So you gotta have a stripper, but all these units have to be built slow, like Will turn 2, right? Not too shabby. I kind of like that. I don't know. Feels kind of like a turn 2 arena offense, maybe, that messes with things like Blue Guy, Pisama, Miho, stuff like that. Vanessa Triana, which is not the end of the world. Those things are annoying and they're everywhere. So if that's this guy's job to do that, then that might be worth it, you know? Okay. All right, Thrain. Looking sharp again. Yeah. All right, the first one. This is just the same thing. Additional turn if something dies. This one's pretty cool. Spreads a plague to inflict continuous damage for 2 turns. You gain another turn using this skill. So cooldown is 3 turns. No, this is 100% uptime. You use it, cooldown goes to 2. It's always up. You'll always have these dots up, which is neat. Skill ups are all damage, which is kind of cool. You don't necessarily need to skill this guy up ever if you 2A him, because it's all continuous damage and it's, damage skill ups. So nothing's going to get more likely to happen. All right. Meteorites of Doomsday. Meteorites of Doomsday fall onto the enemy and the inflicted damage increases with time. So starts a little bit, ends up a lot, I guess. Stuns the target for 1 turn and recovers your attack bar by 20% each if the enemy is under continuous damage. So it's an AoE stun. It's a attack bar boost by 20% if they're dotted, which in theory they are. You dot them up, skill 2, you get an additional turn, you doomsday them, which is then into a stun. Yeah. Dot them up, stun them up, gain a bunch of bar, and away we go. In a normal, like say RTA, you're gaining 80% bar max, which is not 100%. It's just not. I believe Okeanos can get 100%. But yeah, it's kind of nice. If you don't have a Rika and you don't have a Belinus, this is kind of like the busted version of that. It's element neutral. It is slower than dirt, but it does continuous damage. It does a stun, and it's going to turn cycle. Kind of. It's going to turn cycle within itself, but in terms of getting a new turn for itself, it's like takes forever because 91, right, is 91. But yeah, out of all these, I see Thrain as the most likely to have RTA viability. I think if you build a turn 2 that has maybe double stripper or attacks people that don't bring double immunity, Thrain could have a nice role in that. Like when people pick Rika because you don't have double immunity, Thrain's of that mold. He's just, the base stats are there. The HP is really quite good for an attack monster. The defense is terrible, so you probably want double defense artifacts on him. But yeah, I could see Thrain seeing some play, but I think the speed makes him so hard to build into a kind of a top tier comp, so I don't know. So of these, I feel like Thrain is the only one that's really quite viable. The red one, maybe, if you build like a dot specific team. I don't know. I don't know if that is a thing or not. But yeah, just to compare Thrain to Okeanos, that would be the comparison with the stun, I would say. Where are you? Okeanos, there you are. So like 25% chance to stun, does it a bunch, attack bar covered by 25% each for each stun monster. So he'll get a full 100%, plus that goodiness. So he's of that vein, but look at the 100 base speed. Quite a bit better. But it's a 2A, not an At5, and a first pick. So there's a little bit of a difference there. All right, so that is my thought on the Grim Reapers. I think Thrain might have some play in a certain niche, but maybe people have better options. I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe someone will come up with something more interesting and a better way to use them. I don't know. But from an RTA standpoint, these guys feel like not really RTA units as much. I would say more Guild War units where you have a little more control over the situation. So that's kind of my thought there. All right, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if I'm missing something or you saw something different. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.